All right, you guys, just here we go with, here's some video notes for you guys with regard to solving rational equations. So what we're doing is, as we know, rational equations are where you've got a x value in the denominator of your fraction. So we're still working with fractions, we're still working where x is in the denominator. Now, there are two ways to work this. One is when you have proportions, okay? And that's basically where you have a fraction. Here, where you have a fraction on one side, so a divided by b equal to c divided by d. These are proportions. They're saying the ratio of a to b equals the ratio to c to d. These are going to be your easy ones, okay? Then the second method is you using a lowest common denominator, all right? In this one, we're going to try and get rid of the denominator, kind of like what we've been doing with finding the, when we're adding and subtracting fractions, getting the lowest common denominator, similar to that. So that is going to come into play here. So let's get started. So right here we've got a proportion. This is just like a over b equal to c over d. When you have one like this, you're going to cross multiply. Cross multiply. So this is only because you have an equal sign. Please do not do this unless you have an equal sign. That is the most important part. So you're going to cross multiply here. 7x. Then you can cross multiply here, and you're going to get that equals 4 times x minus 6. Now you just solve. So step 1, cross multiply. Step 2, solve for x, or whatever the variable. Okay, so at this point it just becomes a simple algebra problem. So you get 7x equals 4x minus 24, because I'm multiplying 4 times 6, negative 6. I need to get my x's on one side and my numbers on the other. So now I'm going to divide by 3, and I get x equals negative 8. And if you were to plug that back in, if I was going to check my answer, like someone like Markia or Anaya would do, because they want to make sure they get it right, negative 8 is my x minus 6. That's going to equal 4 divided by negative 8. 7 over negative 14 equals 4 over negative 8. This is both going to equal 1/2, 1/2, negative 1/2, negative 1/2. So we've checked our answer. All right, moving on. What about when you have something like this? It's going to be the exact same thing. You're still just going to cross multiply, because all you have is one fraction equal to another fraction. That is the key. One fraction equal to another fraction. So 3 times 2a plus 1, we're multiplying across there, equals 7 times a minus 8. All right, so here's this, and here is this. All right, so then you multiply it out. 6a plus 3 equals 7a minus 56. And now I need to get my a's on one side, my numbers on the other. I'm just going to kind of move this over here to keep it positive. You know, I like to keep it positive. 3 equals 7a minus 6a gives me 1a minus 56. Get my numbers on this side. And I get 59 equals a. All right, so moving on. Here's a couple of practice ones if you want to do those. You can go ahead and do those. Let's do number 6. Because now we've got one where we've got a binomial and a binomial. So again, you have to keep in mind that even though there is a minus sign, it's still all in the numerator. We're still good with just a, like an A over B equals a C over D type method, proportions. I'm going to cross multiply these two, and then cross multiply these two. Okay, so when I multiply 2 times 3, I'm going to get 6 equals. Now I'm multiplying 2x minus 3 times x plus 4. I've got two binomials, and so we know we need to FOIL. Right? Up above we were just distributing. Here we were just distributing. Now we need to FOIL these. So when I FOIL, I'm going to get my first is going to be 2x squared. My outside is going to be plus 8x. My inside, 3 times x, is going to be negative 3x. And my last is going to be negative 12. So all I've done is make sure that I've multiplied 2x times both of these numbers and 3 times both of these numbers. All right. Now I'm going to combine my like terms. So I get 2x squared plus 5x minus 12. Now I've got to solve for x. But before I do that, I need to make sure that I set this equal to 0. It is not set equal to 0, so I have to subtract the 6 on both sides. 0 equals 2x squared plus 5x minus 18. Now I can factor this. Do not try and factor before you set equal to 0. So of course I know since I've got a trinomial, I'm going to use my big X. And I do my A times my C at the top, so that's going to be 2 times negative 18, which is negative 36. My B is going to be this middle term, 5. What numbers? I know one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative, because this is negative. So I know when I multiply, I need one positive, one negative. I'm going to get 9 and 4. So I'm going to be left, but I have to divide by this 2. Remember? So we're going to divide by 2. Divide by 2. So I'm going to get 2x plus 9 here and x minus 2 here. So I'm left with 0 equals 2x plus 9 times x minus 2. Now, one thing we have not been doing is solving from here. We've been leaving it at this state. This is no longer enough. We need to solve. So we know that when we're multiplying two binomials, one of these has to equal 0 for this to be 0. So either 2x plus 9 is going to equal 0, or x minus 2 is going to equal 0. Well, I'd add 2 to both sides and get x equals 2, so that's one of my answers. I'm going to subtract 9. 2x equals negative 9. Divide by 2, and I get negative 9 divided by 2. So my two answers are that x is going to either equal negative 9, 2, or positive 2. Those are my answers. Okay? hopefully, oh, Marshmallow's playing. Solomon. All right, so do you guys see that this is, you have to make sure that you go through all the steps. You FOIL, you cross multiply, FOIL them out, set it equal to 0, factor, and then solve. All right, hopefully that is going to be helpful for that first page. Go to the next video for the next one.